Good evening.
Good evening.
Tuesday, March 13th, the regular committee of the whole meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams.
She's in Washington, D.C.
Trustee Wilson.
on training.
Trustee Brooks.
He had to call me and said he's going to make it tonight.
Trustee McMullen.
Present.
Trustee Payne.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
And Mayor Covington.
Present. Could you please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay. Do we have anything from general public at this time?
We're getting motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I know. Traffic is so bad this morning.
Yes, you do. Gary.
Okay, Deborah Strauss. Ms. Deborah Strauss.
Timing?
Oh,
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
okay. Your timer there.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
trustees, all present this evening. Just wanted to say, at the last board meeting, I had requested about the light on Amherst being corrected or whatever, so it wouldn't keep flickering. And I wanted to say thank you to Gary for having his guys take care of that. That didn't take a minute, right? Okay, somebody got about 2.5 minutes.
No.
Go ahead, Brandon. You said.
No, I was finished.
Okay.
I just wanted to say I did in a minute less, I think.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Christopher Humes.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good
trustees,
evening.
residents. Christopher Hughes, I'm in Rosedale, resident, 683 Madison Lane. Again, this is for Public Works of Gary. Thank you for taking care of their light. The next day, the light has come on and it does what it's supposed to do now. So I just want to say thank you, we appreciate it. It gives us a little bit of security and a more peace of mind. So thank you.
Madam Mayor, could I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to go ahead and also add my thanks to Gary Richardson as well. I reported a light out on 651 or 657 Sullivan Lane, and the next day that light also was repaired. So keep up the good work, Ms. Richardson. Well,
Thank you. And I'd like to thank, did you do that? Patched by the, Metro, they finally got that really bad hole that people were losing all the hubcaps. Did that?
we started today.
Thank you. And I do have a request from someone asking me to say, when are we going to start? Do we have a program or a schedule on Elmhurst and Abbott Lane? It's really, I drove it. And are we going to have a schedule of when we're going to start there at least? Because that's one of the worst parts in the village.
Okay.
We
So
have
you,
some-
Mayor, are you referencing patching or road
Yes.
repair, road resurfacing?
Right, either way, because it's,
So tonight, the board has for its consideration a hot box that can really would assist with the patching on those roads.
okay.
We currently do not have funding for road reconstruction. We are looking for funding through grants, as you are already aware, and you're already attempting to do in your transportation committee meetings. So we're at this point in patch mode, and it's my hopefulness that you will be able to garner some money during your meetings from various other grant sources to assist us with these repairs.
Okay. All right, thank you. And great job, Gary. Thank you so much. All right, no more comments, public comments? We'll go on the business of the items today. 5A1, discussion ordinance amending chapter 230 of the Title 6 of Part 2 of the codified ordinance of the Village of University Park, Willoughby County, Illinois, pertaining to the composition of personnel in the Division of Police. Okay? All right, let's go for it, guys.
Any questions?
I
Request for a motion first?
No, this is the whole, the discussion. We need the whole, so it's, yes, sir, trustee Oscar.
I do have my thoughts on the repeal of this ordinance. Rather than remove the commander section, I think we should ought to tie it to budget and budgetary restrictions and simply not fill those positions. I believe that we should always plan for the growth of University Park, which includes the growth of our police department, and having the commander structure there in place now for the anticipated growth that we are going to have is in our best interest. So I don't think that we should repeal the ordinance and instead tie it to the budget.
It's my thought process. First, we've done a survey of other law enforcement agencies of similar size. The commander position is not a part of the police department structure. It's smaller of similar sized agencies. The commander structure being in place provides an opportunity for fluffing up command staff in the police department when it was not necessary, which occurred, I want to say several years ago when the commander structure was created. It is my impression that it should be removed completely from the ordinance and removed permanently from the budgetary line item. When Acting Chief Stroud retired, we eliminated one commander position, which would never be filled, ever. And with impeding personnel changes, the second commander position is going to be unfulfilled, and I don't feel that we need to keep that position on the books because, number one, the structure and the way the ordinance is written in reference to Commander 1 and 2 is very difficult to interpret based on various reasons. And secondly, the village will never be in a financial position based on the current command structure to have those positions on the books. In light of, in my opinion, keeping legislation in place where there is no potential growth in the position, as well as for budgetary restraints, it's my recommendation that it be repealed.
Yeah, Chief, I do understand your the sentiments, and I do realize that at this present time, the force should not have two commanders, deputy chief and a chief, but that's not always going to be our case. I do believe that University Park is going to recover from its current financial situation, and with the appropriate focus, we can achieve the objective of getting us back on even footing. And when that happens, we should be in a position to prepare ourselves for the future of growth that's going to be coming right here to the Village University Park. So that's why, and like I said, I would call on my colleagues not to repeal it. Instead, just add a budget line item and don't fund it. And until we fund it, that's when we have the command position, and when it's also determined as necessary by the manager/chief of police. I realize that it's not necessary now, but one day it very well could be. We have it in place now. There's no need to remove it.
Mayor?
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, a couple things. One is on page 2, where it says the chief shall be appointed by the manager. Is that, since you have essentially that position as the director of public safety, does that mean the same thing?
That's correct.
Okay. The other thing is, I hear what Trustee Brown is saying, but, I'm in favor of eliminating the commander position because, first of all, since I've lived in this village, which is a little over 30 years, we haven't grown at all. And, of any consequence. So for us to think that there's going to be a sudden surge of development here, I don't think it's realistic, quite frankly, at this point. I think if we do have growth, it will be industrial growth and not so much residential growth. The other thing is, by eliminating the commander position, I think we eliminate the opportunity for political games being played where people get placed in those positions and without, any consequence. And in the future, if the village should grow tremendously, then, whoever sits in the chairs at that point can always develop a new organization chart with the appropriate funding.
Okay, well, my take on it actually, I agree too, because of the structure of the village and our surrounding areas do not have commanders. And as I asked the question, when you were saying moving a commander to the deputy, you said that they have the same.
So to explain that, Mayor, okay? I've been not a subject matter expert, but I've been doing law enforcement for a little bit of time. Departments of this size do not have commanders. They have a chief of police, they have a deputy chief, and they have sergeants. Beecher has that structure, Peatone has that structure, and other smaller municipalities have that structure. I don't know the purpose of the creation of the commander positions at the time, and that's a non-factor at this point. But if we're going to start moving the police department in the right direction, these departments in the right direction, a proper structure has to be put in place. When you leave an ordinance in place to leave an opportunity for potential appointments to be done for positions that are typically not necessary, it does place the village in a position where anybody can be promoted to a commander based on recommendation and budgetary constraints. The police department, based on my assessment, does not have the proper structure. And this is why we run into, I think, the same argument that I've stated to the board in regards to the structure changes and doing potential promotions within the police department from commander to deputy chief. Because if you look at the duties and responsibilities of commander in University Park compared to the responsibilities of deputy chief, it's the same duties and responsibilities.
That was my.
Yes, Madam Mayor. So to have or reinstate the deputy chief position, which the deputy chief position was only eliminated for budgetary constraints for a limited amount of time based on the ordinance that was passed, I don't think is in the foreseeable future or advantageous to the village to keep this commander ordinance in place based on reasons that Trustee Payton actually provided, and I think you agree with.
Yes. And the structure, and again, I've been saying that since I've been here, structure, and there's been no organizational chart, no indication of strong HR in this village. And so we need to get that, and we need to get that started, so. Okay, any other concerns, comments?
Just one final comment. When you look at an organizational chart, what you have to look at is the levels of supervision and what they refer to organizationally as span of control. So, if we have a director of public safety or a police chief and a deputy chief, normally there's about 4 sergeants.
Yeah.
So the span of control would be for the deputy chief essentially to manage 4 sergeants who would then I'm assuming manage whatever number of patrol officers they are. That in my mind is enough. If we grow so large, we can always, this is something that can always be revisited.
And aren't they part of administration? We need more people on the street than we need in the office.
That's correct.
So that's my point of view, and that's what the cry of the residents. They need protection. They want to see police officers out there. They want to see them on the bikes. They want to see. And I think our police department is great, and I would like to build more police officers and get established that way. That's what we need.
Chief Bader, I follow under your recommendation. I totally support you in your efforts to revamp this. Thank you.
Any others? Yeah, this will be moved to the agenda. Is that an agreement to be moved to the agenda? Yeah. Okay, thank you. D2, resolution of the Village of University Park, Cook County, Illinois, authorizing execution of an agreement by and between M&J under. No. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. 5A2, discussion orders of the Village of University Park, Cook County, Illinois, vacating a portion of Raleigh Road adjacent to real property owned by International Brotherhood of Electronic Workers, L Union number 9.
So I would start on a brief introduction, I think, and I'll allow the village attorney to conclude. There is a portion of Drawley Road that is adjacent to the IBEW and their training facility. And what they're asking is for the village to vacate that portion of road to expand their training facility so they can install lights and other training apparatus for their students to learn on. So what they want to do is purchase that portion of Drawley Road from the village and then fence that road, as well as create additional training ground for this. And I'll have Attorney Wise discuss it, because I know we've been dealing with this for quite a while as far as discussion back and forth.
Thank you. IBEW approached the village looking for a vacation of just a portion of Drawley Road. It's the unimproved portion. I don't know if it came out, photographs were going to be included within your packet, but it's an unimproved portion. There's no actual street there at this time, paved street, I should say. Just to the west of the portion they want vacated, which abuts Interstate 57, that small portion was vacated by the village back in the 90s, a small portion. They're looking to vacate the remainder, going from west to east up until the point where it is currently a paved street. They do own the property both to the north and south, so they're the only owner who would be affected by this. They approached the village. If the board votes on it, it would take a 3/4 majority of the board currently holding office to approve the vacation of this area. Initially, they did an analysis of what the value would be, and that is the $19,700.80. I was contacted by the attorney at the end of last week when I told him it was going to be on the agenda for discussion tonight. He asked that since they're not for profit, whether or not some of that could be waived and the board would not require payment of the full $19,700. I think those managers were speaking of this. I told them that I would take that to the board, his comments. That's not up to me, that's up to the board. So what they would want to do.
So what I would tell you is, I would ask the board, and of course, this is, at the end of the day, we'll have to come back before the board. I would ask the board to allow myself and the attorney to go back to IBEW. They do extensive work as far as street lights and other electrical work. So we may be able to garner an agreement where in lieu of paying for the vacation of the road, we can get a lot of these street lights repaired that require extensive electrical repair within the village. So or any other opportunities as far as their give back to the village, as far as resources for providing training with students. Instead of training on their stuff, they can train on our infrastructure that we currently have here. So I would ask the board to allow myself and the village attorney to go back and see what they're willing to do in exchange of, in lieu of the $19,000, since they're a non-for-profit organization. There has to be some type of gain for the village, even if it's in-kind related. So $19,000 of in-kind related donation through other acts by the organization that might not necessarily bring any financial profit to the village, but might bring gain as far as infrastructure improvements in regards to lighting.
And I would like to see by the IBEW and the Brotherhood of Electricity, maybe they could sit some of our students and help them get to a point, maybe getting a part of the union. And I know that's hard to get in there, but give them some training from some of our residents here in University Park. If they'd be willing to do that, that would be the hard part.
John, can you list that so we can bring that as a topic of discussion as well?
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with the mayor on that one. It was actually one of the things I was going to mention in regards to job training. Very important that our residents are adequately represented in all trades and in all fields, so I think that's a good idea. But I would also recommend that we do our own independent, I guess, appraisal of the proposed easement and try and get as much as possible. But if we can focus on training and improving the infrastructure that would be a good thing too, but we do need revenue.
Yes, sir. Trustee Baker?
Yeah, I like the idea also of the exchange of, you know, training services, so to speak, for the land. One of the things that I was looking for, I couldn't find, was the size of the, you know, the land. Land is going for, and good land is going in this village for about 20,000 an acre, and I don't think that's an acre, so I don't know how they came up with the assessment.
It's like 1.13.
Oh, 1.3, yeah, so that would be pretty consistent with, because I know the land near the train station, and when I was with the board, and we bought the land for the high school, it was about $20,000 an acre, so that seems to be pretty reasonable.
Okay, so you took all our comments and concerns, so with that said, I don't know, we would move this to the next agenda after your discussion.
I would ask that the board move it to the next agenda pending
Your discussion.
discussion to see if we're able to strike agreement before the 27th. If not, then we would probably defer to the next COW or the next fourth board meeting, fourth Tuesday in April.
Right, and putting in place all the suggestions Trustee Payton and Trustee House Brown said, with the training, and
Agreed.
try to keep some fundings there for us, and making sure the size of the negotiations. that we
Agreed.
have.
And honestly, I think it's more advantageous based on the village's financial situation to do more of an in-kind type of donation in the range of the same value of the property through services and training of the village residents. I think that'd be more advantageous for the village.
Is it possible that you could get back with us before the agenda, just to say?
Not a problem, Mayor. I think Attorney Wise will reach out tomorrow and we'll try to set up a time for a conversation ASAP. And as soon as we get that done, have a memo probably for the board for review prior to the next regular board meeting.
See what your negotiations came to.
Sounds good.
See before we can put it on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. And then after that, you can make the determination if you want to go on the regular board meeting agenda or be moved over to another meeting.
Exactly. Thank you. So that's pending, okay? Pending the agenda. Okay. 583, discussion orders of the Village University Park of Bigelow County, Illinois, amending Title II, Part 8 of the codified ordinances of the Village of University Park pertaining to business regulations and license fees. Discussion. Yes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to table this. We had discussions on this before. We were supposed to get a list of exactly
The
what.
memo was submitted, the attorney sent out a memo yesterday to the entire board in regards to this.
Oh, did?
Yes.
You got to print mine off.
And my first point of input, Attorney Wise, is for
You did
business.
send it?
My first point of input as far as business license fees goes, I know my initial impression, everything looks great. My initial impression though, for regular business licenses, for businesses in an industrial park, I really think businesses license need to be done by its own square footage and not a flat fee for our larger businesses. So maybe put a caveat in there for business licenses for industrial park or large businesses to be done by square footage and then do a square footage calculation based on per square foot of a business license fee. But just for larger big box businesses that we have in the village. Because I think it's not fair for a regular business to pay the same price as an industrial park business that pays millions of dollars and have $1 million in revenue compared to a small business that does not bring just as much revenue. So I think we need to change the fee structure in regards to that one particular area.
And I'm really happy to see this because I don't think that a person that has a home-based business pays $75 and then a person with 1 million square foot of land pays the same $75. There's something wrong with that.
I agree with you wholly on that, Mayor.
And when is the last time we even looked at this to offer a change? When was the last time?
I would have to look at the ordinance. I know it's
Ordinance,
been a time, but I would have to look.
years?
I
Yes,
can't.
but a few years.
Yeah.
Because it's never, it's been, I know it's been 15 years, because I've been up here 15 years, and it's never been changed. So,
I have a couple of questions too, Mayor.
this is not fair. Barbershop or around the corner, and then they got 1 million square feet of land for $75, that's kind of crazy. Okay, we do, as the trustee Oscar Brown said, we need money. Trustee Payton, sir?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
For section, and I'm cross-referencing the Montana and Welsh memo that we received. And thanks for that also, because, you know, the ordinance itself was not clear as to what was involved here. But section 14, section 80-04 applies to garbage and rubbish collection and disposal service, which it is proposed that the fee be raised from $150 plus $50 per truck to $300 plus $100 per truck. So does that pertain to Homewood Disposal?
No, that pertains,
Or is that just for a business that operates here in the
that
village?
pertains to us. That pertains to us.
I'm sorry?
So the business would have to be in the village itself, not, it has to be domiciled here in the village?
When you speak on the trash collection, that is when Public Works is called on someone that is being evicted, or they're leaving trash in their yard, or the business is leaving trash that Public Works has to go clean up. Not Homewood Disposal.
Okay, well, I think that needs to be clarified in the ordinance then, because the way it reads right now is it says, it applies to garbage and rubbish collection and disposal service. This is section 14 on the memo, right?
Right, section 14?
Right.
Oh,
Meaning any person who, in return for a fee, monetary or otherwise, transport refuse or other garbage from a parcel. It is proposed that the fee be raised from $150 plus $50 per truck to $300 plus $100 per truck, which seems to me to be like a disposal service, as opposed to, you know, a fee that Public Works would charge
Right, and I
to
believe
clean up a
for,
lot.
I'm sorry. Correct, and I believe for disposal services, not the village public works to go clean up, but I'll look into that and verify that and see who's paying those fees currently and who that applies to.
Yeah, because if it's Homewood Disposal, then I'm not in favor of that, because they're just gonna pass the cost on to the residents of the village. You know, everybody's gonna be paying it, so, take it out of one hand, and, you know, put it in one hand and take it out of the other, so.
and I totally agree with that. It should be clarified to make the say that the village
Right. Right.
Public Works Department, like, for example, when we do the fees as with cutting up the grass, if someone has to, you get a fine if the grass is not with the cut or whatever, it used to be $200. I know we used to pay someone, a fire department or the village would give you a ticket and it was $200.
Yeah, but that's not what this applies to, this is for
No,
business,
I'm saying-
right?
No, I'm just saying an example of
Right.
making it clear on that as well.
Okay. Section 19,
Okay.
where it talks about miscellaneous amusement. So it says it applies to miscellaneous amusements, which includes all public shows, theatricals, carnivals, circuses, athletic contests, and exhibitions, and any other temporary show conducted in the village. It is proposed that the fee be raised from $50 to $100. So my question is, does this apply to the Governor State Theater? So if they, you know, for every show that they have there, are they supposed to be paying us $100?
And they have their own maintenance. They charged us for.
Well, but this is a fee for having something, you know.
I know they did charge us for maintenance fee when we had our,
Sorry.
they did.
And that's another area, we'll have to look at that for Governor State, and I don't know if they're currently paying any fees in reference to
They
this.
should be, they have not paid licensing fees,
They don't pay license fees at all.
but they should. The bookstore,
Yeah.
the
The
vending
bookstore,
machine,
the vending machine, the restaurant,
the restaurant.
and the liquor.
So,
Right.
They sell liquor. for
Well, the
everybody.
question would be whether we even have jurisdiction on that, because I know for schools, at least for the high school and the schools in the village did not have jurisdiction over that. It was the county that had it, so,
So,
you know.
so the research has been done in regards to the subject.
Uh-huh.
The village is in the process of enforcement-related actions against the college in regards to the various things. The bookstore has actually paid for a business license this year. They haven't done it in several years. And the only reason that was done because we issued them a citation and they actually paid their citation and issued a license. So we're in the process of dialoguing with the school about liquor sales and various other sales that are conducting there, especially vending machines, as far as their financial obligation to the village. In caveat to that, we're also looking for fire protection fees as well. That we have an ordinance on the books that we're supposed to be collecting fire protection fees, and we have not done that in several years either. So we're in the process of revamping that and looking at all the revenue sources that the village has not been taken advantage of for several years.
Yeah, I know that several years ago, they owed the village $40,000, $34,000. So, section 21, and again, I'm referring to the memo, which is section 860-05 in the ordinance, as it applies to peddlers, hawkers, transient vendors, itinerant merchants, solicitors, and persons engaged in gratuitous distribution, and to their agents, employees, regardless of the purpose or motive of their activities, etc. So the question I have is, does this apply to like the little vendor booths? So let's say First Baptist Church has, you know, like their festival, their summer thing, or a go back to school thing, and you know, you have vendors come in and they set up little tents and go and buy little stuff.
So the answer to your question is yes, it does apply to those things.
Okay.
Not the church, because their status
Yeah.
And it's on
is on their property. Okay.
So it wouldn't apply to the churches.
Right, and I have Attorney Wise do further research, but I will yield to the clerk, but I will have Attorney Wise do further research on that subject, trustee, so we have a better answer.
Okay.
That's number 21, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna add something on that same one. You don't mind, trustee?
No, go ahead.
Because when you say solicitation, because there are, a lot of people have been complaining about the people with these energy companies and knocking on doors with kids.
That's correct, they're supposed to have solicitor license.
And I tell them all the time, I say, baby, if you have a solicitation license, if not, you can go to the village hall. But this is illegal what you're doing, you get fined, so.
So we're going to start enforcing the solicitor situation.
Can we like put up signs that say no solicitation on poles? I mean, sometimes some areas, they can have that on the beginning of the village or something like that.
But
No solicitation.
But if we say no solicitation,
Right.
it would prohibit those
Yeah,
people
period.
who get licensed to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But we also, Madam Mayor, we also have the badges
Right.
that once they register and they pay a deposit on the badges that they should wear. And this would let.
I remember years ago, we used to have even a form.
Right, we still have
Okay.
all
And
of
you had
that.
that you came and paid for that license.
Right, and you put a deposit on the badge.
Okay.
Section 23, which is section 8.